Something split. Quietly. You felt it, but there was no announcement. No dramatic collapse. Just a subtle internal shift, like a door closed behind you and you didn't realize it until you tried to walk back. The blood moon didn't change the sky as much as it changed trajectory. And if you're the one who always senses undercurrents before anyone else does, you already know you're not standing where you were a week ago. Two people can sit in the same room, watch the same eclipse, wake up the next morning, and enter entirely different futures. The split already happened. It didn't show up as fireworks. It showed up as silence, as a conversation that felt slightly off, as a sudden clarity about someone you've been making excuses for, as the dependable one realizing you don't actually want to carry everyone anymore. That was the fork in the road. The eclipse didn't push you forward loudly. It sorted you based on who you've been becoming in private, based on what you tolerated, based on what you've outgrown but haven't said out loud. Recognize this. The path you're on right now is compounding. Not next month. Now. Every small decision you make in this emotional afterglow is building momentum. The text you don't send. The boundary you quietly hold. The invitation you decline without over-explaining. Pay attention to what feels lighter and what suddenly feels heavy. Because you're no longer standing between timelines. You're already on one. And if things suddenly feel like they're moving faster, that's not chaos. That's alignment catching up. On this timeline, reality feels slightly accelerated. Conversations happen before you even plan them. Someone brings up the exact idea you were considering. Opportunities appear without the usual pushing. It's not overwhelming, it's precise. You don't feel frantic. You feel positioned. If you're the quiet observer who usually waits for the right moment, you may notice the right moments are arriving sooner than expected. Calls come in. Decisions get made quickly. Situations that once dragged now resolve in a single exchange. Acceleration isn't speed. It's friction disappearing. And here's the tension. If you hesitate out of old doubt, you slow something that was already aligned. Not because you're incapable, but because your nervous system isn't used to ease. This timeline responds to decisiveness. Not aggression. Not forcing. Just clean responses. You'll know you're on it if events stack in synchronized order instead of emotional confusion. One green light leads to another. Not perfect, but flowing. Don't overthink the momentum. If something feels ready, it probably is. Move when it's clear. Or maybe the opposite happened. Maybe everything went quiet. The urgency you've been carrying for months? Gone. The goals that once pulled at you? Flat. You open your phone, stare at messages, and feel nothing pressing you forward. If you're the one who's always driven, always planning 3 steps ahead, this can feel unsettling. Like you're losing momentum. Like you're falling behind. You're not. You've entered the release and recalibration timeline. The eclipse didn't take your ambition. It stripped attachment to outcomes that weren't actually aligned. Some of what you were chasing wasn't desire. It was pressure. Expectation. A version of you that needed to prove something. Now that version is dissolving. Stillness isn't failure. It's reorientation. And here's the psychological edge. When the nervous system exits survival mode, it often mistakes peace for stagnation. You were used to operating under tension. Without it, your identity feels uncertain. Don't rush to fill the silence. Let the desires that remain prove themselves. Let the ones that fade fully. This timeline isn't about acceleration. It's about precision through subtraction. What no longer pulls at you was never meant to define you. Sit in the quiet long enough to hear what actually is. Your emotional reaction right now is telling you more than any prediction could. Not what you think about the eclipse. Not what you posted about it. Your actual, unfiltered response. If you felt calm, steady, almost neutral, that isn't indifference. That's alignment already in place. The emotionally strong one doesn't always need a dramatic breakthrough. Sometimes growth looks like stability, holding under pressure. Calm means you're not being forced to pivot. But if you felt restless, irritated, slightly uncomfortable in your own skin, that's not regression. That's awakening rubbing against an outdated layer. Discomfort is often the nervous system realizing it can't keep performing the same role. The overgiver noticing the imbalance. The dependable one realizing exhaustion isn't loyalty. There is no wrong reaction here. There is only information. And here's the destabilizing truth. The reaction you judge the most is usually the one guiding you forward. If you felt peace, protect it. If you felt friction, investigate it. Your emotions aren't random waves right now. They're directional signals. They're showing you which timeline you're integrating into, not by force, but by resonance. Don't suppress what surfaced. Name it. For some, this isn't about speed or stillness. It's about return. You may have noticed something subtle but undeniable. Effort from months ago echoing back. A message from someone who once overlooked you. Recognition for work you quietly perfected. An opportunity tied to a risk you took when no one was watching. This is the claiming timeline. Not loud victory. Not dramatic validation. Just evidence. If you're the one who kept showing up without applause, who refined your boundaries when it felt lonely, who chose growth over comfort, this is where the harvest begins to surface. The eclipse didn't create the reward. It activated the return. And here's the tension. When things start coming back, your instinct might be to downplay it, to act unimpressed, to protect yourself from disappointment. Don't. Receive cleanly. What's resurfacing now was incubating behind the scenes while you were doubting yourself. Conversations that opened doors. Subtle confirmations that you made the right choice. Financial or relational shifts that feel earned, not random. This timeline responds to ownership. Not arrogance. Ownership. If something is aligning in your favor, stop questioning whether you deserve it. Claim it without shrinking. There's another realization settling in. Some doors didn't close because you failed. They closed because they were misaligned, and you couldn't see it yet. Think about the almost situations. The relationship that nearly worked. The opportunity that slipped through at the last minute. The plan that collapsed after you invested time, emotion, effort. At the time, it felt like blockage. Now it feels different. The eclipse has a way of exposing where hope was covering incompatibility. Where you were trying to make something fit because you had already invested so much. That wasn't persistence. It was attachment. And here's the uncomfortable clarity. If certain doors had opened, you would have had to shrink to stay inside them. Subtraction was protection. The quiet observer in you probably sensed it back then, the hesitation, the subtle misalignment in tone, the way your body tightened around certain people. You just didn't want to accept it. Now you can see it without resentment. What left created space. What didn't choose you saved you from choosing something beneath you. Don't romanticize what ended. Reinterpret it. You weren't denied. You were redirected before the cost became heavier. And then there's this unexpected shift. The noise inside you got quieter. Not numb. Not disconnected. Just steady. If you're the one who usually absorbs the room, who feels tension before it's spoken, who adjusts your tone to keep peace, you may have noticed something unusual. Other people's chaos doesn't hook into you the same way. A text comes in with attitude. You don't react. Someone projects their stress. You don't carry it home. Old triggers knock. They don't enter. This is the calm power timeline. It doesn't look dramatic from the outside. No big announcements. No emotional speeches. Just a nervous system that no longer volunteers for turbulence. And here's the subtle escalation. Some people will feel that shift in you before you explain it. Your availability changed. Not distance. Precision. You're no longer over-explaining. No longer jumping to fix misunderstandings. No longer chasing clarity from people committed to confusion. Calm becomes authority. Not because you're detached, but because you're anchored. If something used to shake you, and now it doesn't, don't search for the old reaction to prove you still care. Silence can be growth. Stability can be strength. And this version of you doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. This wasn't a loud turning point. No countdown. No visible line in the sand. Just a quiet internal shift that placed you exactly where your recent choices have been pointing. You don't need to force this timeline. You're already on it. If you're the one who constantly feels responsible for making everything happen, this is where that pattern softens. Not because you've become passive, but because you've become aligned. The eclipse didn't demand action. It revealed trajectory. And here's what matters now. Stop trying to manage outcomes that are already responding to who you've become. No rushing. No proving. No chasing what requires performance. The path unfolding in front of you matches the boundaries you've set, the standards you've refined, the things you've finally stopped tolerating.
Trust that.
Let the acceleration move you when it's time. Let the stillness reshape you when it's necessary. Let the returns find you without shrinking from them. You're not waiting for your timeline to begin. You're watching it respond. If you feel the refinement, not the drama, but the clarity, comment refined. Not for visibility. For confirmation that you're no longer over-accessible to a future that doesn't fit you. Nothing dramatic has to happen next. No sudden breakthrough. No visible announcement that you've arrived. The real shift already occurred in how you respond. In what you no longer chase. In what no longer disturbs you the way it used to. Timelines don't split with noise. They split with decisions made quietly. The text you didn't send, the boundary you didn't explain twice, the opportunity you accepted without self-doubt. That's the new direction. And here's what matters now. Don't go looking for proof in chaos. Look for proof in your steadiness. If you feel more selective, more grounded, more aware of where your time goes, that's not isolation. That's refinement. Stay there. Let people adjust to the new pace. Let situations reveal themselves without interference. Let what aligns approach you without you chasing it. You're not becoming someone else. You're becoming precise. If this resonated, comment precision below. Not to agree with me, but to mark the moment you stopped volunteering for timelines that require you to shrink. And if you're staying on this path, stay aware. Because from here forward, what you tolerate determines what multiplies.